This is your official Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Justin Gaethje fight prediction video. What is up, you guys? Fight Fiend Mix here, coming at you with a new video. As always, thanks for taking the time to stop by and checking it out. So we are a couple of days removed from the upset. Teofimo Lopez defeated Vasily Lomachenko for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world. Who would have thought that it was going to end that way, right? Anybody who's anybody thought that if Vasily won, it would be a decision, but if Teo won, it would be a knockout. Well, it ended up being Teofimo by decision. Who would have fucking thought? I mean, besides the judges and their shitty ass scorecards that I don't even want to get into, but the reason I'm bringing that up is because last week I posted a Lomachenko and Lopez prediction video that got upwards to about 700 views. I'm a small YouTuber, so that's a great deal to me. When I see that, I'm like, oh shit. So thank you guys for not just watching the video, but also interacting. There were a few people I was speaking with in the comment section. So I definitely shout out to you guys. I appreciate the discussion. This is exactly why I had this channel, so I can discuss fights with people. So moving on to the topic of the video, it is a lightweight championship of another sort, the UFC lightweight championship, the undisputed UFC lightweight championship. The lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov is going to be defending his title against interim champion Justin Gaethje this Saturday, October 24th, at UFC 254. So this is your official Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Justin Gaethje fight prediction video. All right, so there is a saying in the fight game, I've said it before in previous videos, and I'm going to continue saying it, that you're only as good as your last fight. When it comes to mixed martial arts, I don't think that's accurate because of its unpredictability. So I like to take a look at a fighter's last 3 fights. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to start first with Justin Gaethje. He's the challenger, although he is the interim champion. He's considered the challenger here, of course. He is on a 4-fight win streak, but we're only going to take a look at his last 3. We're going to start first with Edson Barbosa, which was a KO win for Gaethje, of course. This was back in March of 2019. This fight ended in the first round, so he basically mauled him. If you guys remember that shit, it was like, if I'm not mistaken, it was a right hook. It looked like Barbosa was trying to like circle away from the cage, and Justin was able to catch him with like a leaping right hook and dropped him. He was gone. He was like, he landed, but he was just like all over the fucking place. So that was a sweet ass KO. Then after that, it was Donald Cerrone. That was in September of 2019, which also ended in a TKO. And then after that, the soul, heart, balls crushing win over Tony Ferguson. I will admit I am a Tony Ferguson fan. I'll get to that in a little bit, but it certainly crushed a lot of people's dreams of a potential Ferguson and Khabib fight. So thank you, Justin, for that one. All right, so moving on to the champion, his last 3 fights is starting first with Al Iaquinta, which I actually attended that fight. That was UFC 223 back in April of 2018. If you guys remember, that was the bus incident. That was the one in New York where where Conor McGregor threw that dolly into the bus. It was that event, which also was supposed to have been Tony Ferguson, but again, we'll get to that later. So it was a unanimous decision win over Al Iaquinta back in April of 2018. After that, it was the neck crank / rear naked choke. It was more of a neck crank because it looked like it was over the jaw. A win over Conor McGregor. That was in October of 2018. And then against Dustin Poirier in September of 2019. So, and by the way, that was a rear naked choke. He did choke Dustin Poirier in the 3rd round. All right, so I'm named off those opponents. I'm going to go back to Justin Gaethje and take a look at these here. So I mentioned earlier the fight with Edson Barbosa. It was pretty short. We didn't really learn much in that one. He did finish Barbosa, and I think it was a little bit of a different Barbosa than when Khabib fought him, because that Barbosa is actually one of the 2 common opponents these guys have. Khabib went 3 full rounds with him and completely dominated on the ground, and Justin knocked him out in 1 round. Now, mind you, I don't think Khabib was trying to to knock him out on the feet. He was trying to finish him on the ground, which is his bread and butter, of course. So we didn't really see much from Justin there. I mean, we didn't see anything new, I should say. It's something that we didn't really know. Donald Cerrone, well, Donald Cerrone is a very excellent striker, but him too is kind of on the downside of his career. It's just really more so of a name on his record, on Justin Gaethje's record. And, he took him out in the 1st round. It was like barely a few minutes in that first round. So he managed to get a TKO victory over Donald Cerrone. Again, what do we see? He has that power. He's for those of you who aren't familiar, if I'm not mistaken, looking at his record here, only one of Justin Gaethje's fight in his entire career has gone the distance. Only one. Either he knocks him the fuck out or submits him, or he gets knocked the fuck out or submitted. One of the two. Well, he only has two losses in his fucking record. They were to Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez. No shame there, and they were both by KO. One is KO, one's by TKO. So he's very Vitor Belfort esque. He'll go in there and he's gonna throw down, and it's kill or be killed. That's literally how he is now. Only one fight going the distance early in his career. Let me see if I can take a look at this real quick. Back in 2012, which I think was his fourth fight in his career. I don't want to go back that far, but I just kind of want to make a point. It's him, for Justin. It is killed or be killed. Ever since then, either he wins or he loses. KO, submission, one way or another. It does not see the final bell. It's pretty crucial. And then after that victory over Donald Cerrone, Tony Ferguson, which I still have trouble to this day. I want to one for the homie, because that was a tough one. I was we were all hoping for the Ferguson Khabib fight, right? That didn't happen 4 or 5 times prior to that, and it didn't happen then, right? We had Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson. It was an ass whooping. It was hard to watch. You sometimes you wonder what the fuck is in Tony Ferguson's chin, because he was taking these hard friggin' shots. We learned a little bit more about Justin here. There was a point where him and Ferguson exchanged uppercuts, and he dropped. It was right at the end of the round, so we didn't really get to see Ferguson jump on top of him. But within the round, within the minute of the break in between rounds, he recovered. So we're like, okay, a little bit of adversity there. He made it back. He worked his way back. And one of the things that I noticed is he has the ability to throw with he goes in there like Leonard Garcia and fucking throws haymakers. And he's got the cardio to throw fucking haymakers. That fight with Ferguson ended in the 5th round. It didn't go the full 5 rounds, but it ended in the 5th round. And in that 5th round, he was throwing just as hard as he was in that 1st round. So we learned a little bit more about Justin there. He has the fucking cardio. Not just to grapple on the ground, but to punch and to keep punching and to not lose that pop. So those were his last 3 fights. And that fight with Ferguson was where he won the not just the performance of the night, but also the UFC interim lightweight championship. Now, one of the reasons that fight was a little bit tough to watch, besides the fact that I'm a Ferguson fan, is that prior to this, Tony Ferguson was on a 12-fight win streak. He had not lost in 12 fucking fights. He had built so much momentum. That's one of the reasons we wanted him against Khabib so bad. Not just because of his unique fighting style, but because we're like, damn, I wonder what the fuck he can do. He's built so much momentum in these 12 fights leading up to that. And then within the course of 25 minutes, or within 25 minutes, I should say, Justin Gaethje was like, nope. So he kind of stole some of that steam. He stole some of that momentum, and that's going to play a big part, I feel, in this fight with Khabib, because he's got momentum on his side. Yes, Khabib is undefeated, so he's 28-0. So it's not like, he's he's no pushover either, obviously, right? He's got 25 fights going, but we'll move on to him here now. That fight with Al Iaquinta is actually the only 5-round fight that Khabib has. He's gone. That's the only one that he went the distance, at least if I can tell. Maybe another one, but it was. He's gone the distance before, but it's only been 3 rounds. Now, that fight with Al, there were several things, as I mentioned earlier. That was the incident in New York with the bus and the dolly and Conor McGregor. So there were a lot of outside things going on that probably affected the performance. For starters, Al Iaquinta was on the undercard of that fight, and he wasn't supposed to be fighting Khabib. And so Khabib kind of had this, change of opponents, because if I'm not mistaken, that was supposed to be Tony Ferguson as well. So they had to switch everything up. They offered the fight to to fucking Iaquinta, and props to him for taking on. Granted, it was the opportunity of a lifetime. It was the was he already the champion at that time? Oh, it was for the vacant title. So Iaquinta, boom, and, without realizing it, coming into that fight week, Iaquinta was like, I'm fighting on the undercard, and boom, now he's got himself a vacant lightweight championship title shot against Khabib Nurmagomedov. So of course he wasn't going to turn it down. I'm sure they gave him a little bit extra cash there, which was good for him. But everybody's game plan went through the fucking went out the window because Al had a different opponent, and so did Khabib. So that probably affected that fight, and is one of the reasons why it went the full 5 rounds. Because Iaquinta, props to him for taking the fight, but he kind of held his own. He held his own against Khabib. There were a few times where Khabib took him down and he got back up. Not many times because mostly it was on the ground, and there were a few times even on the feet that Khabib was. Khabib was doing his thing, his boxing. His obviously his bread and butter is the ground game, and that fight with Iaquinta kind of showed us a little bit about Khabib. He doesn't lose confidence. He's in there. Sometimes he's gone, like when Iaquinta got back up, he didn't lose his confidence at all. He kept going for the takedown. He said, "Fuck this! I know what I'm good at, and I'm gonna outpower this motherfucker and out technique him on the ground." And he did. And to Iaquinta's credit, he lasted 5 rounds. He did what no one else has done. Gone 5 rounds with Khabib, and that's something. But that might be a fight that Justin Gaethje might want to study, just to at the very least see how Iaquinta did it. All right, so then after that, it was the monumental Conor McGregor fight, which I have my laptop here to my right, with Nurmagomedov, who was able to get a neck crank in the 4th round. So the fight went into the 4th round. This one, again, we saw something a little bit different from Khabib, because if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time that he lost a round. I don't remember if it was the second. Fuck. I don't remember which round it was. I probably should have rewatched that fight, huh? But one of the rounds he actually lost. The judges actually gave it to McGregor, and I think that's like the first time he's lost a round inside of the octagon. So he decided to either take the round off, or McGregor legitimately won that round. So we saw that he took a little bit of a break, and then again he wasn't discouraged by any stretch. Went in and eventually got the takedown and the neck crank. And for those of you who have never grappled, the neck cranks hurt. Neck cranks hurt like a motherfucker. It's not a choke, it's almost on. It sort of depends where the arm is. Sometimes it's over the nose, sometimes it's over your eye, sometimes it's on the chin. You can fuck someone up by just crushing the shit out of the chin. Like when you get that fucking choke, like you can squeeze the fuck out of someone. I've done drills where I get a foam roller and I just squeeze it here, and the coach will say like, go, and we just squeeze for fucking like 30 seconds and just squeeze the fuck. Dude, that shit builds up the endurance in your arms to be able to crank. Even when you don't have it under the chin and an actual neck, you're like crushing the jaw. Man, that was hard. And that's more of a pain move, right? That's more of a pain submission. It isn't necessarily a choke. And I know, Conor McGregor gets a lot of heat for calling him, the McTapper or whatever the fuck, because he's tapped to these chokes. But we're not just talking about a choke here. Sometimes guys can withstand pain. Nobody can withstand a choke. That was a hard pain submission. That was hard. I don't blame him for tapping that one. That shit was hard. So anyway, that went 4 rounds, right? That was the second longest that Khabib has gone in the octagon. So boom, we're seeing he's got the cardio. Earlier on in his career, Khabib has had some issues making 155. Like he had a couple of catchweight fights, and then a couple of fights. If I'm not mistaken, might have been one of those fights with Ferguson that he didn't make because of the weight. I think the weight cut was really bad. He got sick or some shit like that. But anyway, he's consistently making 155 now. But he went 5 rounds with Al, and then he went 4 rounds with McGregor. So he's got the gas in the tank. He's, even though he's had the issues with the weight before, he's doing it well now. Moving on to his most recent, Dustin Poirier, where Dustin Poirier was actually the if I'm not mistaken, he was the interim champion, I think. Yes, he was the interim champion at that time. And, he unified there, and he became the undisputed, up until Khabib, or I'm sorry, up until Justin and Ferguson. He was the lightweight champion of the world officially after unifying with Dustin Poirier. That went 3 rounds. That was pure domination. That was 3 rounds of just ass whooping. I don't think Dustin had an answer for the takedowns whatsoever. I mean, up until this point, no one really has. The only one has kind of sort of come close was Ally Quinta, which is why I think Justin should probably study that fight. But um, it ended up being a rear naked choke in the third round. So it was late in the third round. I think it was in the middle of the third round. So those were those guys' three most recent fights. I've watched some of these fights in the past. There's several different variables here. I know that Justin's power is his bread and butter right now. He is whooping everyone's ass. People are forgetting how good his wrestling is. He's an NCAA Division I wrestler, and that's pretty important. That's like pretty hot shit. I don't think that's at the level of Khabib's, but that shows you something, that he has a real sound understanding of the ground game. Um, Keep in mind that we're talking about collegiate wrestling here, not like MMA wrestling, because once you start throwing punches, it's kind of another story. There's a saying that you can make a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt into a white belt by throwing punches on the ground, right? Which is true to some extent. So I kind of thought about how this fight was going to go down. Justin has the power, but he has a lot of other tools that we need to really pay attention to. One being the kicks. He throws these hard ass kicks, like these calf kicks that he lands sometimes. Sometimes they're on the calf, sometimes a little bit higher, but they do some damage. They do some serious fucking damage. Now, traditionally, you don't want to throw kicks to a grappler. I mean, they're both, I guess their fundamentals are grappling, but Khabib is more, well, I guess I should say Khabib is more of a grappler, even though Justin does throw a lot more punches on the feet, I should say. So that's one of the tools where I'm like, damn, I wonder if Justin can land those leg kicks. Because if he's able to land, especially the calf kicks, like I don't think people realize how much the damn calf kicks fucking hurt. Those are painful as shit. If he can land those on Khabib's lead leg, I don't know if that's going. I have to assume that's going to affect his shots. I have to assume it's going to affect his shots. But that's a risk, because why? If the leg gets caught, he's going down. And I want to say, I think in that fight with Khabib and Connor, I think Connor tried like a knee. I want to say if it was a knee, because he saw Khabib coming in and he kind of caught him with the knee. And I, to this day, say that when you fight a grappler, you better have either the knee cocked back and ready to land when he comes in with that shot, or an uppercut. One of those two. Now, they may not stop the takedown, but they're gonna make him think twice the next time he shoots in. If you do damage somehow, if you're able to bruise his face, or even cut him with a knee or an uppercut coming in on that double leg, he will think twice about coming in the next time. And who knows? Maybe you can cut him that bad that the fight has to be stopped over the cut. Who the fuck knows? And Justin, I've kind of gone back and forth about those kicks, because I feel like those kicks will be a good idea against Khabib. But if Khabib catches one of those legs, that's going to be, I think, probably the biggest question of this fight. Well, I should say two questions. Number one, can Justin stop the takedown? And number two, if he can't, can he get back to his feet? Up until this point, not many have been able to do that against Khabib. I don't know if any of those opponents have had the pedigree in wrestling that Justin has. I kind of feel like they haven't. I'm leaning towards Justin being able to get back onto the feet. I don't know if he can stop the takedown. I think he will be taken down, but I think he's going to be able to get back on the feet. And on the feet, I think Khabib is inferior. I do. I think he's got that heavy right hand, and his striking isn't bad, but maybe he hasn't shown it to us because he's never needed to, because he's always been able to take guys to the ground and pound them. But maybe he'll surprise us, and maybe he'll have a better stand-up game. But from what I've seen, Justin has the better stand-up. I feel like Justin is going to hit Khabib. Like, he's probably going to hit him harder than he's ever been hit. There was a point, if I'm not mistaken, in the Michael Johnson fight, Khabib, I mean, where Johnson hurt him, like stunned him on the feet a little bit. It was very, very brief, but I have to feel like I have to assume there's going to be an opening at some point where Justin's going to be able to catch Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to stop him with the shot, with the punches, but he's going to make him think twice. He's going to keep him honest. He's going to keep him at bay with those punches. If Khabib cannot take Justin down, or I should say, keep him down, I think it's a Justin win. So, to not continue blabbering, because I know I have the habit of doing that, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I think Justin Gaethje's gonna take it. I legitimately did not think he was going to beat Kevin Ferguson. Yeah, Tony Ferguson. Sorry, it's like Kevin Ferguson. Tony Ferguson. I did not think he was going to beat him. I legitimately did not. I think he took a lot of momentum away from Ferguson and a lot of that steam, and he's got now some momentum. Justin, I mean, I'm getting the impression that Khabib. I mean, it's hard to go against Khabib. It is. It very is. It's hard. And even me saying it sounds weird now, but I feel like Khabib is not going to be able to keep. And again, I know this sounds dumb as fuck and probably odd, but I feel like he's going to be able to take Justin down, but he won't be able to keep him down. He's going to be brief. He's going to pop back up, and if he pops back, if that happens, which I think it's gonna, I feel like Justin's gonna pick him apart on the feet. So this is my final prediction. Going out on a limb, I'm gonna say Justin Gaethje. It's gonna be late. It's gonna be mid to late fourth round. I can't believe I'm saying this, and I'm still even like kind of debating it, but I'm gonna say Justin Gaethje, late fourth round, TKO. Yeah, I just said that. And I mean, it's easy to go with the favorite, right? It's always easy to pick the favorite. I mean, several months ago, or last year was it, on before the Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence. People were picking like Errol Spence. He was a heavy favorite, obviously, right? So everybody was going Spence. Some people were going Mikey Garcia. And then after the fight and Spence wins, of course, there were a lot of Instagram pages saying like, I told you, right? Like, fuck out of here. Come on now. You were going with the favorite, motherfucker. Fuck out of here. It's easy as fuck to go with the favorite, right? Shit, yeah. Obviously, I told you. Fuck it. He's a heavy favorite. Oh, by the way, on that note, last I saw with these odds here, Khabib Nurmagomedov is at minus 340 and Justin is at plus 260. That's from oddshark.com. Wow. So if you're if you're a betting man like me, maybe a couple of bucks on Justin might do you some good. But just keep it low, of course, because I don't want you losing your house over my prediction. All right, so before I end this video, guys, I always want to sneak in freshcleantees.com. Make sure to check out Fresh Clean Tees, and at checkout, use the code MIGS15 and get 15% off your total. How about that? All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to me blabber for as long as I have already. I appreciate you guys. I'm always down to hear your guys' opinions on who you guys think is going to win, how, why, if you agree with me or disagree with me. Oh, by the way, before I forget, this fight is actually going to be on pretty early. If you can, please follow me on Instagram at FightFiendMigs. I generally post the fight schedule the morning of the fight, but this fight is going to be early as shit, and I mean fucking early as shit. So there's a chance that I'm going to post my Instagram, the fight schedule on my Instagram on Friday night, because this fight, while I pull it up here on my internet, on my interwebs, the early prelims start at 7:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then the preliminary card starts after that, and then the actual main card starts at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it's gonna be early as fuck in the morning. Well, or not early as fuck, but 7 a.m. for the early prelims. And then 9 a.m. for the regular prelims. So yeah, if you guys can, please follow me on Instagram at FightFiendMigs. I'm going to post a schedule on Friday as a reminder, but this is your first warning. Get up early because the early prelims start at 7 a.m. for this UFC 254 on Saturday. All right, cool. So not to make this video any longer, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that good shit. I love hearing from you guys. I will see you guys this Saturday. Woo, shit. I might even post like a post fight video if the fight's hella good. So I will see y'all on Saturday. Again, final prediction. You heard it here. Justin Gaethje, 4th round TKO. Oh, shit. All right, peace.